Hello my friends, and welcome to the channel for another Escape From Tarkov video. This time covering a few more extremely simple yet pretty underrated loot runs in Tarkov that can be used to pretty easily stack up on money, supplies, or things that you need for quests and building up your hideout. In my previous video on this topic for this wipe, I focused on interchange, reserve, and customs. So for this video, I figured I would take a look at Woods and Shoreline, two maps that you will see yourself on quite a lot while you're questing during the mid-game. I've mainly focused on areas that don't require any keys to access, though I do have 3 keys that I will be mentioning in this one that are all pretty cheap on the market but are very much worth their price. That being said, the keys are definitely not required, and you can run any of these routes just as easily while playing as a scav or a PMC and score some pretty nice loot. So with that out of the way, let's get into it and start this video off with a look at the village on Shoreline, one of the most underrated spots to find keys, hideout items, food, and goodies to sell on the flea market. For this run, I'll be starting at the side of the village that's basically right up against the border of the map, by the white house that's near the tank and the bus on the road. This white house has 2 jackets inside, plus a potential key spawn on the chair near the jackets, so check these and then turn around and head back down the road. Right after you pass by the tank, you can find 2 hidden stashes on the side of the road. One inside the concrete circles and another near the blue fence and the piles of trash. After this, keep heading down the road into the village. The first house on the right hand side here has 4 jackets inside, as well as a bag and some potential loose loot on the floor. The house right across the road from this one also has 2 jackets hanging on the wall inside that you can check for more keys. After leaving this one, you can cut through a boat shack on this side of the street and find a wooden toolbox, and then right outside of this shed in the yard you can also find a hidden stash obscured by some bushes. After this, there's one more jacket inside the house here. Then you can exit out of this yard through the second wooden shed, which has 2 more jackets to loot. From here, there's one more house at the end of the village that has a few jackets, 3 duffel bags, and some loose loot spawns on the shelves, and then we're moving up to the cottages. Before heading into the cottages, you can angle off to this little pond, and if you walk up the piece of land in the middle of this area, you can find another wooden toolbox in the bushes and a hidden stash, which are almost never looted. From here, the last spot that you can easily get to is the left-hand side cottage, which is unlocked, and it has 2 safes, 2 jackets, 2 duffel bags, and a computer inside, so you definitely want to check this out. If you manage to get yourself a cottage back door key, you can also loot the second house here, but otherwise this is kind of the end of the village route. You're almost guaranteed to find some pretty good keys after running this a couple times, and the duffel bags and hidden stashes in the village can add a surprising amount of high value loot to this run. This spot works perfect for scav runs as well, since it's near multiple scav extraction points and is often neglected by PMCs who would rather rush to the resort. Up next, we have the Shoreline Resort admin building and the gym in the west wing. Probably my 2 favorite spots to loot in the Shoreline Resort as a PMC when I don't have many keys, or as a scav who doesn't have access to keys to begin with. Starting from the truck parked outside the back of this building, go through the outside door and into the theater area, where you can find 1 dead scav in the seats, which is definitely worth checking for some rare items. After this, head into the main part of the building and quickly check down in the basement for any rare items that can spawn on top of this food cart with the serving tray. Then go up top and we'll be heading to the left side first. At the back of this area, you can find a room with several shelves that spawn tech items, 1 computer to loot, and a potential keycard spawn on the table at the back of this room with the ashtray. Next, the first closed door back in this hallway leads to a small office with some tech spawns on the couch and the desk, 1 computer, and a safe which requires the Health Resort Manager's Office key. The second door in this hallway leads to a room with another computer, some spawns on the shelves, and a potential West Wing 216 key spawn on the desk at the back of the room. This is a very valuable and useful key, so I will always check for this. The last room on this side of the hallway contains 5 different computers to loot, as well as some loose spawns and a weapon box. This room in particular is amazing for farming things like CPU fans, circuit boards, and power supplies for the hideout and for mechanics quests. After this, you can find 1 duffel bag in the concert room, and then you move over to the other side of this building. This side doesn't have as much loot, but it does have another safe, which requires the Health Resort Management Warehouse safe key, as well as 2 stacks of filing cabinets. After looting up this building, you might be full on good stuff already, but if not, Another cheeky spot that I think is super underrated is just the gym in the basement of the west wing, which will be the right-hand side if you're facing the resort from this way. First, you can loot a bag in this small waiting room by the staircase, and then head down into the gym, which has 5 more duffel bags scattered around down here in the basement. There's also a potential red keycard spawn in these blue lockers against the wall, so it's worth giving them a quick check. After this, you'll probably be full up and ready to extract, and if you have any other resort keys, you can also go check those rooms if you're feeling a little bit cheeky. Next up, we're going to head over to Woods for a look at a somewhat long but insanely profitable route that hits the Emercom camp, the lumber mill, and a couple side areas before getting out. This run can start and end from either side of the map, and will be relatively close to an extraction either way you go. So it's pretty good to know, and it technically doesn't require any keys, though the ZB014 key will be kind of useful for you. I'll be starting at the Emercom medical camp, a large point of interest that's absolutely thick with loot. The backside of this camp has a medical tent with lots of loose spawns and a med bag, and near this tent are 2 supply crates, a duffel bag, and you can find a ton of loose spawns for food and other items on top of the various boxes and tables. When you start to move across the camp, make sure that you hit this silver crate for some rare spawns near the dead bodies, and then check the multiple med bags, med spawns, supply crates in the front area of this camp as well, and look for lots of med spawns on the shelves. After you're done hitting the camp, you can head straight up to the lumber mill, or if you want, you can divert to the right over to the mountain and climb it to look for some rare spawns first. If you do climb the mountain, check this area with the sleeping bag for some potential rare items and food, and then jump up to the very top of the mountain, where you can find this little bunker built into the side of the rock that has multiple rare spawns inside the bunker, where you can find gold chains, lions, and lots of stuff like that. If you don't feel like climbing the mountain, just head straight towards the lumber mill, staying to the left-hand side so you can loot up this small shack or office building, which will have 3 jackets, a duffel bag, and some filing cabinets, as well as a potential keycard spawn near the filing cabinets. After this, right across the road from the shack are some small metal trailers that also have 2 jackets and an ammo box inside. Next, run along the ridge that you just came down from, and in the corner of the lumber mill, you'll find these 3 worker shacks that contain multiple jackets, duffel bags, a safe, and potentially some scavs. These trailers don't look like much, but you can find moonshine and whiskey in here, lots of keys in the jackets, and some rare stuff in the safe. From here, head across the open area to the lumber warehouse and make sure to check the shelves in here for some rare tools and things like the sledgehammer, as well as some rare medical spawns, including the Abdulbas stim. There's also a couple weapon crates in this warehouse too. When you're done in here, head out the back door, angle off to the left, and after running through the trees for a while, you'll eventually find the scope shack, another area that kind of looks like nothing, but actually spawns a lot of rare weapon attachments, as well as some good ammo in the pile of boxes outside the door to the shack, and a dead scav leaning up against a tree. From this spot, you really have 2 options. You can run straight to the outskirts extraction from here, or you can run across the open field and look for the ZB014 bunker against the fence if you have that key. This bunker can be an extraction point if the flares are outside of it, but it also has a green crate and some good food spawns on the blue shelves, which are definitely worth checking out. This route can just as easily be run in reverse as well, starting at the bunker and ending at the Emercom camp, which is close to the extraction on the other side of the map. If you can hit all these spots in one run, you're guaranteed to have a bag full of pretty nice loot. My final quick recommendation for this video is just to bring about 7,000 rubles to Woods and focus on hitting the village in the far corner of the map for loot, and then using the car extraction at the bridge to just quickly leave and come back and do it again. This spot has some pretty great loot all by itself, but if you combine this area with any other loot spot on Woods, you're definitely leaving pretty fat, and you get a little bit of scav reputation for taking the car. The village basically just has 3 houses, which all have duffel bags, toolboxes, rare food spawns for stuff like moonshine and whiskey, and some loose spawns for technical items and tools. If you make sure to check these houses carefully, and remember to check underneath the beds in all of them for rare items like gold chains, you can get quite a haul just from looting these houses. After you finish looting, just run back to the bridge, pay for your extraction, and you can get out pretty quickly. If you don't find a lot of good stuff, you can always go across the map and do the longer route as well. But there's been times where I scored multiple moonshines out of these houses, and it just makes sense to leave right away and flip those things on the market. Well, that basically covers it for the loot runs that I wanted to share with everyone today. I hope these routes help you make a few million rubles and get your hideout upgraded, so let me know how it goes for you, and also feel free to point out anything I missed on these runs, or any other loot spots that you think are underrated and deserve some attention. Thanks for checking out the video. I've got links to my Twitch stream, Discord server, and Patreon page down below for anyone interested. And until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City.